Hi, I am Sophia. Welcome to True Payback, where story hits different. Hit subscribe. Let's dive in.
The video call had been scheduled for 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. I joined from my office in downtown Seattle, my assistant having blocked out the afternoon. On screen I could see Dad's conference room in Phoenix. The mahogany table, the leather chairs, my brother Marcus sitting beside him looking smug. Mom sat on Dad's other side. The estate attorney, Mr. Henderson, shuffled papers at the head of the table. "Elena," Dad began, his voice carrying that tone of patient disappointment I'd heard my entire life. "Your grandmother's passing is difficult for all of us. But we need to discuss the estate practically." I adjusted my webcam. "Of course, Dad." Marcus leaned forward, his smile tight. "Before we start, I just want to acknowledge how much work I've put into managing Grandma's properties over the past 7 years. The Arizona rentals, the Colorado cabin, coordinating maintenance, handling tenants." "We know, Marcus," Mom interrupted, patting his hand. "We're very proud." Mr. Henderson cleared his throat. "Let's review the will." Mrs. Rodriguez left behind 8 rental properties in Scottsdale valued at approximately $4.2 million, plus a vacation property in Aspen valued at $1.1 million. Total estate value approximately $5.3 million. My expression remained neutral. I'd known these numbers for years. What they didn't know was that Grandma Rosa had called me 3 months before her death. "Mija," she'd said, her voice weak but determined. "Your father doesn't see you. Never has. But I do. I see how hard you work, how you built yourself up from nothing. Marcus, he talks big, but I've been watching the numbers. Money keeps disappearing." That conversation led to a quiet meeting with her attorney, not Henderson but her personal lawyer in Tucson. Quitclaim deeds. Irrevocable trust transfers. All dated 14 months before her passing, when she was undeniably of sound mind. All recorded with Maricopa County. The properties had been mine for over a year. Marcus had been collecting rent on my rentals, depositing my income into accounts he controlled. But I'd said nothing. I was watching. Documenting. Waiting. "The will specifies," Mr. Henderson continued, "that the estate should be divided based on family contribution and—" "Let me stop you there," Dad interrupted. He looked directly at the camera, at me. "Elena, your brother has sacrificed years managing these properties. You've been in Seattle doing whatever it is you do. Marcus deserves the entire estate. It's only fair." The words landed exactly as he intended them. Dismissive, final, unquestionable. Marcus nodded. "I don't want to seem greedy, but Dad's right. I've earned this. The maintenance alone. Do you know how many midnight calls I've handled? How many contractors I've managed? With Grandma's money," I said quietly. "Exactly." Marcus missed my point entirely. "I've been the responsible one. The one who stayed close to family. You left for college and never came back." Mom's face was sympathetic but firm. "Sweetheart, you have your job in Seattle. You're doing fine. Marcus needs this. He's building a family, he has the financial services company to grow. Rodriguez Financial Group," Marcus added proudly. "We're expanding. This inheritance will help me take it to the next level." I looked at my father on screen. His jaw was set, his decision made. This wasn't a discussion. It was an announcement. "Your brother deserves everything," Dad said. "That's our position." I nodded slowly. "I understand." Mr. Henderson shifted uncomfortably. "Ms. Rodriguez, you have the right to contest." "That won't be necessary," I said calmly. "Thank you all for your time." I ended the call. For a moment I sat in my office, the corner office on the 43rd floor with views of Elliott Bay. My assistant knew not to disturb me during family calls. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across my desk. Then I picked up my phone and opened an encrypted messaging app. "Withdraw all capital from Rodriguez Financial Group immediately," I typed to my private equity manager. "Execute within the hour. No explanations. Clean exit." The response came in seconds. Confirmed. $5.1 million will be pulled by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They'll receive notice in approximately 30 minutes. I set down my phone and returned to the financial reports on my screen. I had 3 other portfolio companies to review before end of day. The backstory was simpler than anyone in my family knew. I'd left Phoenix for the University of Washington on a full academic scholarship at 18. Dad had been dismissive. Seattle's so far. Why not ASU? Marcus, 3 years older, had stayed local, gotten his finance degree from Arizona State, immediately started working for Dad's small financial advisory firm. I'd been the family afterthought. The daughter who was fine, but never exceptional in their eyes. Marcus was the golden child, charismatic, local, present at every family dinner. What they didn't know was that I'd spent college working 3 jobs while maintaining a 4.0 GPA. I'd graduated early, gotten hired by a tech startup doing financial analysis. That startup had been acquired 18 months later. My stock options had been worth $2.3 million. I'd been 22 years old with more money than I knew how to handle. Instead of broadcasting it, I'd gone quiet. I'd found mentors in Seattle's investment community. I'd learned private equity, venture capital, strategic positioning. I'd built a portfolio slowly, carefully, investing in early-stage companies with solid fundamentals. By 25, I was worth $8 million. By 30, I'd crossed $30 million. Now, at 33, my portfolio was valued at $127 million. I sat on 4 corporate boards. Forbes had profiled me 6 months ago as one of their 30 under 35 in finance, though I'd requested they use only my first name and no photos. I went home to Phoenix twice a year, Thanksgiving and Christmas. I wore simple clothes, drove a Toyota when I was there, rented a modest apartment in Seattle that I kept for show. My real home was a penthouse in Belltown that no one in my family had ever seen. My father would introduce me to his friends. This is Elena, she works in finance up in Seattle. Never asking what I did. Never curious about my life. Marcus would make jokes. Still single? Still renting? Some of us are building real wealth, sis. I'd smile and say nothing. Because I'd learned something valuable in my 20s. Underestimation is a strategic advantage. When people think you're struggling, they reveal their true character. They show you who they really are. Grandma Rosa had been different. She'd noticed things. During my last visit before her illness worsened, she'd cornered me in her kitchen. "You're too quiet about your success, Mija," she'd said, her eyes sharp despite her age. "Why?" I'd hesitated, then told her the truth. About my portfolio. About my investments. About watching Marcus's lifestyle inflate beyond what his small firm could support. Her face had hardened. "He's been managing my rentals." "I know. You think he's stealing? I think you should audit the books." She had. 3 weeks later, she'd called me in tears. Marcus had been skimming rent payments for 4 years. Small amounts at first, $500 here, $1,000 there. But it had grown. Maintenance that was never done but billed for. Rent collected but not fully deposited. Property tax payments that came from her accounts while he claimed to have paid them. Total estimated theft, $340,000. "I'm transferring everything to you," Grandma had said. "Not in the will, they can contest that. Direct transfer. Quitclaim deeds. You'll own the properties before I die." "Grandma. He's my grandson, but he's a thief. Your father enables him. Always has. You're the only one with integrity." The transfers had been completed 14 months before her passing. She'd made me promise not to tell anyone until after she died, until after the will reading. "Let them show you who they are," she'd said. "Then decide what to do with that information." My phone rang at 2:47 p.m., 17 minutes after I'd sent the withdrawal instruction. Dad's name flashed on screen. I let it ring through to voicemail. 30 seconds later, Marcus called. I declined it. Then Mom. Then Dad again. I silenced my phone and continued working. At 3:15, my assistant buzzed me. "Ms. Rodriguez, your father has called the main line 4 times. He says it's an emergency." "I'm unavailable," I said calmly. "Please take messages." At 4 p.m., my private equity manager called. "It's done," Thomas said. "Clean withdrawal." Their accounts manager called me in a panic, asking why the capital was being pulled. I told him the investor wished to remain anonymous but was reallocating assets. "He's trying to find out who the investor was." "He won't," I said. "The blind trust structure is airtight. They're scrambling." Apparently, that $5.1 million represented their primary operating capital. Without it, they can't meet payroll next week. Their credit lines are maxed. Elena, they're going to realize within days that they're insolvent. That's unfortunate, I said neutrally. Your father is the principal, Thomas said carefully. I assume you know that. I do. There was a pause. Want me to prepare backup documentation in case this gets legal? Already prepared. I've had a forensic accountant auditing Rodriguez Financial Group for 6 months. Anonymous client, untraceable to me. The report is sitting in a safety deposit box. If they come at me legally, I'll bury them in evidence of fraud. Thomas let out a low whistle. Remind me never to cross you. After we hung up, I finally checked my voicemails. Dad's first message was confused. Elena, there's been some kind of banking error. A major investor just pulled out of my firm. I need your advice, call me back. His second message 20 minutes later was panicked. Elena, this is serious. $5 million just vanished from our accounts. Pick up your phone. Marcus's message was aggressive. Whatever games you're playing, Elena, stop. This is Dad's livelihood. Call me back immediately. Mom's message was tearful. Honey, please, your father is having chest pains. Something terrible is happening with the business. Please call. I listened to all of them. Then I deleted them and returned to work. At 7 p.m. Seattle time, my personal phone, the number only a handful of people had, rang with a Phoenix area code I didn't recognize. I answered. Elena Rodriguez? An unfamiliar woman's voice. Speaking. This is Caroline Mitchell. I'm an attorney with Henderson and Associates. I'm calling on behalf of your father, Victor Rodriguez, regarding the estate of Rosa Martinez Rodriguez. I'm listening. There seems to be a significant issue with the property records. When we went to file the estate transfer paperwork today, we discovered that all 8 Scottsdale properties and the Aspen property are registered in your name as of 14 months ago. Can you explain this? My grandmother transferred them to me via quitclaim deed. A long pause. You've known about this for 14 months? I've owned them for 14 months. But you said nothing during today's will reading. I wasn't asked about property ownership. I was told about inheritance distribution preferences. Another pause. I could hear papers shuffling. Ms. Rodriguez, your brother has been managing these properties and collecting rent for years. Yes, I said. On properties he doesn't own. That would make him my property manager, except I never hired him in that capacity. Are you saying? I'm saying Marcus has been collecting rent on my properties and keeping the income. I have 14 months of documentation. Every rent payment, every maintenance claim, every expense. I've been tracking all of it. Dear God, Caroline whispered. Do you know what the total is? Through last month, approximately $340,000 in rental income that was never remitted to the actual property owner. That's not counting the money he stole from my grandmother in the years before the transfer. This is, Ms. Rodriguez, this is embezzlement. Yes. You could file criminal charges. I could. Why haven't you? I leaned back in my chair looking out at the Seattle skyline, because I wanted to see how far they'd go. Today I got my answer. My father told me my brother deserves everything I own because he managed it. They were going to take properties that are legally mine and claim them as inheritance. That's fraud. Caroline was quiet for a long moment. What do you want, Ms. Rodriguez? I want my family to understand that I'm not the failure they think I am. I want them to understand that their assumptions have consequences. But mostly I want what's legally mine, which I already have. Your father's firm, Caroline said carefully. The capital withdrawal. That was you. I don't know what you're referring to. Elena. I'm an anonymous investor in various enterprises. If one of my investments is no longer performing to standards, I reallocate capital. That's basic portfolio management. Your father's company will collapse without that money. Then perhaps he should have built a more stable business model. One that doesn't rely on a single anonymous investor. One that doesn't enable his son to steal from family members. Caroline let out a breath. They're going to come after you. Let them. I have a forensic accounting report that documents every dollar Marcus stole. I have recorded conversations with my grandmother detailing why she transferred the properties. I have 14 months of documentation showing Marcus collecting my rent. If they want to make this a legal battle, I have enough evidence to put Marcus in prison and disbar my father from his financial licenses. You've been planning this. No, I said. I've been protecting myself and documenting reality. There's a difference. The next morning I woke to 47 missed calls and 32 text messages. Most were from Marcus, ranging from confused to furious to desperate. What did you do? Dad's company is collapsing. Call me. This is your family. How can you do this? You vindictive bitch. You're destroying Dad. Please. We need to talk. Dad's in the hospital. That last one made me pause. I called Mom directly. She answered on the first ring, her voice raw. Elena, thank God. Your father had a panic attack last night. We thought it was a heart attack. He's at Banner Medical. Is he stable? Physically, yes, but Elena, his business is falling apart. Someone pulled millions in funding and now the bank is calling in loans and he can't make payroll, and Marcus says it's somehow connected to the properties, and her voice broke into sobs. Mom, I said calmly. I need you to listen to me carefully. Is Dad able to talk? He's sedated, but... Good. Here's what's going to happen. Tomorrow morning you, Dad, and Marcus are going to meet with your attorney. I'm going to send you documentation that you'll want to review before that meeting. After you've read it, we can discuss next steps. What documentation? Proof that Marcus has been embezzling from Grandma's properties for years. Proof that he continued to steal from me after the properties were transferred to my name. Detailed financial records of every fraudulent transaction. Silence. Mom. That's impossible, she whispered. Marcus wouldn't. Read the documents. Then decide if you want to protect a thief or acknowledge reality. I hung up before she could respond. Within an hour I'd sent an encrypted email to my parents' address. The attached PDF was 247 pages long. Forensic accounting reports, bank statements, property records, rent payment tracking, maintenance billing analysis. Every theft documented with dates, amounts, and evidence. The executive summary on page 1 was damning. Subject: Marcus Rodriguez collected approximately $340,000 in rental income from properties owned by Elena Rodriguez between March 2022 and April 2024. Subject: falsified maintenance records, inflated expense reports, and systematically diverted rental payments to personal accounts. Criminal liability includes grand theft, embezzlement, fraud, identity theft, filing property documents using false ownership claims. I didn't call them again. I waited. At 3 p.m. Arizona time, my father called from the hospital. I answered. You destroyed me. His voice was hollow, defeated. My company is finished. My son is a criminal. My mother knew and chose you over all of us. Grandma chose honesty, I said. She chose protecting her assets from someone who was stealing from her. That's not choosing me, that's choosing integrity. Marcus made mistakes. Marcus stole $340,000 from his own grandmother and then continued stealing from me after her death. Those aren't mistakes. That's a pattern of criminal behavior that you enabled. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. Grandma tried to tell you. I documented everything and stayed silent. You never once asked me about my life, my success, my investments. You assumed I was struggling because that fit your narrative. His breathing was ragged. What do you want? Nothing from you. I already have what's mine, the properties Grandma legally transferred to me. I've already reallocated my investment capital from your failing firm. I don't need anything from this family. So you're just going to let us collapse? You did this to yourselves. I simply stopped subsidizing your dysfunction. That $5 million, that was yours? I'm a private equity investor with a diversified portfolio worth over $100 million. Rodriguez Financial Group was one of many investments. When an investment underperforms or the principals demonstrate poor judgment, capital gets reallocated. That's business. The line went silent for so long I thought he'd hung up. You're worth $100 million? His voice was barely a whisper. Approximately $127 million as of last quarter. Forbes profiled me 6 months ago. You never noticed because you never looked. By God, Elena. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me? Or would Marcus have made jokes about me, playing pretend entrepreneur, while you nodded along? He had no answer. Here's what happens next, I said, my voice calm and businesslike. Marcus has 72 hours to return every dollar he stole, all $340,000. If he does, I won't file criminal charges. If he doesn't, I'm turning this documentation over to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. He doesn't have $340,000. Then he should have thought about that before he stole it. He can sell his cars, his house, liquidate his retirement accounts. Not my problem. Elena, please. Regarding your company, you have 30 days to find replacement capital or close operations in an orderly manner. I will not reinvest. However, if you close cleanly and don't leave employees or clients harmed, I won't pursue fraud charges related to how you misrepresented your financial stability to your investors. You destroy your own father? No, Dad. You destroyed yourself by enabling your son's criminal behavior and dismissing your daughter's worth. I'm simply declining to fix it for you. What about the properties? He asked weakly. The ones Grandma left? I've owned them for 14 months. They're mine. Not inheritance, existing ownership. Marcus will need to vacate his property management role immediately. I'm hiring a professional firm. He was counting on managing those. He was counting on continuing to steal from me. That ends today. Dad was crying now. Your mother. This will destroy her. Mom can decide whether she wants a relationship with a daughter who protects herself or a son who steals from family. That's her choice. But she can't have both without acknowledging reality. You've changed. No, Dad. I've always been this person. You just never bothered to know me. I hung up and sat in my office as the Seattle afternoon faded into evening. My phone buzzed with a message from Thomas, my private equity manager. Rodriguez Financial Group just filed notice they're ceasing operations. Clean shutdown. No client losses. Professional to the end at least. Another message from my property manager in Phoenix. New management agreement sent for the Scottsdale properties. Marcus Rodriguez cleared out his files this afternoon. No issues. A message from my attorney. Maricopa County received an anonymous tip about embezzlement. They're opening an investigation. If your brother doesn't repay, he's looking at felony charges. I didn't respond to any of them. I just watched the city lights begin to glow as darkness fell. 3 days later, my bank received a wire transfer. $340,000 from Marcus Rodriguez. No message. No apology. Just the money. I forwarded the confirmation to my attorney with instructions to close the investigation. Mom called a week later. We lost the house, she said. Had to sell to cover debts. We're moving to a smaller place. Marcus and his wife are divorcing. Your father is seeing a therapist. I'm sorry you're going through this. Are you? Her voice was bitter. You could have stopped this. You could have helped. I could have enabled it, I corrected. There's a difference. You're still our daughter. Am I? Because 3 weeks ago, Dad told me my brother deserved everything I owned. Marcus stole from me for over a year. You all assumed I was failing because I didn't perform success for you. That's not family, Mom. That's a hierarchy where I'm at the bottom. She was quiet. What do you want from us? Nothing. I wanted you to see me. You didn't. Now you see what you missed and you're angry at me for your blindness. I can't fix that. So that's it. You're just done with us. I'm done being dismissed. If you want a relationship with me, it starts with acknowledging reality. Marcus is a criminal who you enabled. Dad built a house of cards and it collapsed. Grandma saw the truth and protected her assets. I succeeded despite your dismissal, not because of your support. Those are facts. You're so cold. No, Mom. I'm just done being warm to people who treat me like I don't matter. She hung up. 6 months later, Forbes ran their 30 under 35 follow-up feature. This time I agreed to photos. The article detailed my rise in private equity, my board positions, my portfolio companies. The journalist asked about my family. We're estranged, I said simply. Sometimes the people who should celebrate your success are the ones most threatened by it. Any regrets? I thought about it. I regret that they couldn't see my worth until it hurt them financially. But I don't regret protecting myself. The article ran with a quote as the pullout. Underestimation is a strategic advantage. When people think you're failing, they show you who they really are. My father sent a one-line email. I'm proud of you. I should have said that 20 years ago. I didn't respond. Marcus never contacted me again. Mom sends Christmas cards to my Seattle office. I don't open them. The properties Grandma left me are now worth $6.2 million. The rental income goes directly to a trust I've established for underprivileged students at the University of Washington, kids like me who need scholarships and don't have family support. Grandma Rosa would have liked that. As for Rodriguez Financial Group, the office space in Phoenix was converted into a coffee shop. I heard about it from a business contact who asked if I was related to the Rodriguez family that used to run a firm there. Distantly, I said. And that was true. They were very distant now.